I welcome you all to the International Speech Contest Education Session, Episode 1. I would like to begin the session by stating the mission of the Toastmasters Club. The mission of the Toastmaster Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. As a general Toastmaster meeting, we always have some ground rules. Rule number 1, all attendees must always mute their audio unless switched on by the Zoom master. Rule number 2, speakers are requested to refrain from talking about sex, religion, and politics. Rule number 3, please do not share your screen unless asked by the host. Rule number 4, kindly refrain from movement that distract the speaker. In case you need to move, please turn off your video before doing so. Before going further, I would like to introduce an energetic Toastmaster, Toastmaster Shirisha. Toastmaster Shirisha is a director by profession and Toastmaster by passion. She is serving as a program quality manager for Division E. Received a Golden Feather Award, Outstanding Leadership Award for 2021. She loves networking, learning new things, and spending time with family. Now, I would like to hand over this meeting to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Shirisha. Over to you, Toastmaster Shirisha.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Kashika, for a wonderful introduction and laying down the ground rules. Good morning, everyone, and welcome you all to this education session on this beautiful Saturday morning. I am Toastmaster Shirisha, presiding officer for today's session. Contest season is round the corner. I'm sure you all have started preparing your speeches. To make your speech as a winning speech, we, PQ team, has come up with these educational sessions. We are going to have 2 educational sessions on International Speech Contest as well as Table Topics Contest this week and next week. Today's session is on speech crafting, followed by ISE Ballot. You must be wondering why we have speech craft as a first session. A few weeks back, PQ team has rolled out a form to understand from you all to understand your club needs. And most of you has asked for a session on speech crafting. As usual, we always listen to you. Having speech craft session along with ISE Ballot is going to help all of us to prepare a winning speech. To take this session further, let me call an energetic Toastmaster who is the MC of this education session. She is from Broadbridge Toastmasters. She is an immediate past president and current vice president membership of this club. She loves traveling and exploring nature. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome Toastmaster Pravalika. Toastmaster Pravalika, welcome and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for an amazing introduction, Toastmaster Shirisha. A very good morning and welcome you all to the exuberant session of International Speech Contest Educational Session. Speech contests are Toastmasters traditions. Every year, thousands of Toastmasters compete in various speech contests. And the competitions begin with club contests, and the winners will compete through the area, division, and district levels. International Speech Contest is the only contest that proceeds beyond the district to the regional quarterfinals, semi-finals, and all the way to the finals of World Championship of Public Speaking. The eligibility criteria for these is a member should be in a good standing of a club in good standing and have to complete 6 projects from competent communication manual or level 1 and level 2 of any unique path in Toastmasters Pathways Learning Experience. If you have ever competed any speech contest, you have probably felt that your heart raced as you heard that 3 magical words. And the winner is, you might win or lose, but your heart will skip the beat for that one moment, right? Competing in various contests, I can attest you the feeling of anxiety at every level. And trust me, the larger the stage is, the greater the anxiety grows. Sometimes people will ask me is competing in contest worth the efforts? Absolutely yes. Let me share you 3 exemplary reasons why. The first one is it will boost your confidence. Speech contest is something where higher level of confidence is achieved. And second, you will get inspired by your fellow Toastmasters. You will learn to listen. You will learn by observing other proficient speakers. And the third is you will learn to embrace the feedback. To answer all these W's and H of International Speech Contest and help you to give a good competition, we have a trainer with us today. She has worked for over 32 years as a hotelier, teacher, and an entrepreneur. As a Toastmaster for over 15 years, she has served as club and district officer for over 10 years and has assisted in 8 to 10 speechcraft programs. Her personal achievement has been to earn the coveted Distinguished Toastmaster title 4 times and to be a 2 times district finalist in International Speech Contest. She is none other than our current district director, Distinguished Toastmaster Mukta Nadkar. Please join me in welcoming our trainer, Distinguished Toastmaster Mukta Nadkar, to take the meeting forward. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Pravalika. I tell you, after these 3 wonderful women have opened the meeting, our Sergeant at Arms and then the PR head and the Master of Ceremonies, they brought so much energy to this room that I now need to top that, right? Otherwise, you are not going to listen to me. So thank you so much. I see a lot of district officers here, which I'm really thankful for. Shivani, I hope you're doing well and much better. Everyone else who here is a district officer, club officer, Toastmasters, future Toastmasters, a very good morning to each one of you. It is indeed a proud moment, a privilege to be back in Hyderabad with the divisions EFGHN and deliver this presentation on how to speak to win. Now, do we only speak to win because we are entering a competition? No, I think we should speak to win so that we make every moment memorable and impactful. So whether you're speaking to your husband or wife and want to make that impact, there you are going to win. Whether you're going to speak in front of your boss, you need to be a winner. So yes, we need to learn to speak so that we are winners every time. But today we are going to learn some key elements of crafting a speech, delivering the speech, what it means to enter the contest of the International Speech Contest, about the ballot, what the judges are going to look for, and a whole lot of things. And anytime you wish to interrupt and ask a question on a particular thing, please feel free to do so. If you're going to be really polite and wait till the end, make a note of what you want to ask, because we will have a quick question and answer session at the end. So let's begin. We are going to do a presentation on Speak to Win. I want to make it interactive. I want to give you a whole lot of examples from my own experiences as a speaker and as a competitor. So let's get started. Okay, so before we begin, before you enter, you need to have that mindset that I am going to enter a competition, and you need to know who are you going to speak to? Who is your audience going to be? Now, for the purpose of the contest, just go slow. I will tell you when to move. I will tell you when to move forward. Just stay on know your audience, please. Yeah, thank you. So you need to know who your audience is. Now, in this context where we are speaking at a club and then moving on to area and division, our audience is primarily going to be Toastmasters. We know our Toastmasters quite well. But what you say in Hyderabad when you are talking about your chutney restaurant might not be familiar to a Bombay audience or to a Gujarat audience. So when you are speaking of a particular topic and it is relatable to your community in Hyderabad or to Nagpur, you will speak about things which people know about. But as soon as you move on to the next level, keep in mind who is that audience going to be. Make sure that they too understand the context of what you are speaking. So your audience, the age, the diversity, their interests, their knowledge, all of these are important when you are speaking to a particular audience. Next, please. Now know why you are speaking. Like I said, when you enter a contest, your purpose definitely is to win that contest. But on a bigger and wider scale, why do you speak? Are you there to entertain the audience? Are you there to motivate them? Are you there to inspire them? Are you there to educate them? So when you are speaking in your office and giving a technical presentation, obviously you're there to inform. But in Toastmasters, we want to motivate, we want to inspire people with our own personal stories. Because what can make a bigger impact than telling your story? Because it's going to be delivered from your heart. And that is the purpose that you should be entering the contests with. The purpose should be to motivate, to inspire. What is the difference between motivating and inspiring? When you are motivating somebody, you are asking them to a call for action. For example, you want to raise funds for your old school, and you want everybody motivated to contribute something so that you can have a big corpus for the expansion of your school library. So you motivate them and you generate an interest whereby they will make some donations. When it's an inspiring thing, it's a much bigger picture. You are inspiring somebody to have the values that you are talking about. You are inspiring somebody, hey, that person went through all those difficulties and yet they are doing so much with their lives. There you are inspiring. So know the purpose of what you want to say to the audience. Next, please. This is the place where we all get stuck. And we always say, oh my gosh, I don't have a topic. I don't know what to speak about. How can you not know what to speak about? All around you, just look at the room around you, and you could be speaking on any one thing. You could be speaking on that cup of tea that you just had this morning. And you will say, how can that be inspiring? How can that be motivational? But think about how can you make that into an interesting topic for your speech, about riding a bicycle, about learning how to swim, about going for a walk on a holiday, speaking about the values that you have. There are innumerable subjects that you can speak on, friends, families, circumstances which made you stronger, which made you learn. And if you don't know yet what you want to speak about, open the newspaper, open a magazine, open any kind of a book, watch the TV, watch news, that will have, which will give you a light bulb moment and say, aha, that is what I would like to speak about. Next, please. And finally, start writing. Once you know who you are going to speak, once you know the purpose of why you are going to speak, once you have decided on a topic, take your pen and paper and start writing. Just keep writing. Do not stop. Do not think. Just write, because we are going to come to the part on how we are going to edit what we write. Now remember, don't open a magazine, don't open a book, don't open the net and copy dialogues straight from there, because your speech has to be 75% original. Otherwise, you are going to be disqualified as a speaker. Next slide, please. So these are the things to take care of before you begin. Now we are going to organize our thought. We know that to write a speech, you need to have a fabulous introduction where you're going to captivate your audience. You need the body where you are going to elaborate on your topic and message, and you need a conclusion which people will never forget, because they're going to go away and say, oh my gosh, I am going to remember that for the rest of my life. So the first thing is your opening, the introduction. Next, please. What kind of introductions can you have? This is something that people always have a block about. How do I begin? I know what I want to say in the body, but I do not know how to start my speech. Next, please. So there are 4 or 5 different ways that we are going to start with our introduction. The first thing is to grab that attention. Many of you saw Muhammad Katani's speech in 2015, and he took out his cigarette and he put it in his mouth. And I was sitting there in the audience and I was shocked. And I wanted to shout, Muhammad, what are you doing? He certainly grabbed our attention, and it is one of the most vivid images and memorable images that I will have in my mind as an audience member. Grab the attention. You don't have to do something so dynamic, but definitely have a grabbing, an attention grabbing moment when you start your introduction. Next, please. Now, there are 4 or 5 different openings. You can have a story. Next, you can have a shocking statistic. You can have a question. You can have a quotation, and you can have a joke. And now let me explain each one of these. What do I mean by each one of these? You can have a story which will move somebody. In one of the speeches I had given a long time ago on compassion, my opening story at that time was on Mother Teresa. Now, I know that Mandela, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Obama are people and subjects that have been taken over and over again. But I'm talking about a good 20 years ago, when my opening story was on Mother Teresa, how she was walking on the streets of Calcutta, and she finds somebody who's by the wayside, absolutely dying and really being almost nibbled at by rats. And people were walking by without care or concern, and she stops to pick up this person and take that person to the hospital so that that person can get attention. That was a story that really moved me, because my subject was on compassion. And I couldn't imagine a story that showed much more compassion than that. That was my opening story. That story not only moved the people, but it also had the message that I wanted to speak about for the rest of my speech. So have a story that is connected, that is moving to the audience and makes your message the main point. Have a shocking statistic. You might say, what does this mean? When you say that 10,000 whales have been killed in the China Sea. Why? Just for the greed of money, just for that oil that people want, just to make a profit. 10,000 killed in the China Sea every year. It's a shocking statistic. So think of what is your topic, what is your subject, and find a statistic which will really capture the attention of your audience. Ask a question which is pertinent. Ask, if you're talking about travel, if you're talking about courage, ask somebody, have you ever been in an earthquake? Have you ever witnessed something? So here was my story on courage, which I once spoke about. And my son at that time was living in Algeria. And he actually was part of an earthquake that shook the city and killed 3,000 people in Algiers. We were sitting in Mumbai. We first heard it on CNN. And we were shocked and devastated and wondered and worried for our son who was over there. Ask a question. Have you ever been in an earthquake? Have you ever suffered something like that? A leading question can lead to your topic. Quotations, of course, we always know that a good quotation will add value, but make sure that it is not the run-of-the-mill quotation, but something that is unique, original, so that it leads to your topic. And jokes. Some people are so good at humor. Why not use that talent which you have and tell a joke? It doesn't matter. Some people may think it is flippant, not really important, but hey, if you are good at telling a joke and it is in good taste, why not begin? Make the audience feel comfortable, relaxed, at ease, and tell your joke to lead into the subject. Next, please. So these are different techniques of introduction, but make sure you grab the attention of the audience. Next is the body, which is going to take almost 5 to 6 minutes of your speech. Whereas your introduction will be for 30 to 40 seconds, your body will be for 5 to 6 minutes. Next, now what do we talk when we are talking about the body? That is the central idea of your speech. Everything you want to say is going to be in the main body. You are going to have the central idea emphasized over and over again throughout the body. Next, please. So you are going to illustrate your message in 3 to 4 points. Now here, I know people will differ and people will say, why 3 to 4 points? I just want to tell one story, and that is your prerogative, how you want to write the main part of your body. Now, if I go back to the Muhammad Katani story, he had 3 distinct stories in his speech. If you go to Aaron Beverly, the world champion, to his speech, he had one story from beginning to end about a wedding that he attended in India. So whatever treatment you want to give your speech, it is your prerogative and how you feel about writing that speech. Next, please. But make sure if you have 3 or 4 segments in your speech, your transitions are seamless. Often you might have given a speech at in your club and your evaluator says, you could have better transitions. What do they mean by transitions? It means that the first story leads into the next and the second story leads. So you have to have proper words, or you have to have a connect of ideas. So in the previous story, you say something, and then when you are moving to the next story, you can use the words like although that story, that was the lesson we took from it. This story, which I am going to now relate to you, doesn't really have that same essence, but it brings out one more point. So when you use words like although, you are connecting with from the previous story into the next. So use good transition words, phrases, so that the flow is smooth and people do not even realize that you have moved so seamlessly from one subject, one topic into the next. Next, please. Be conversational. Please don't have, we are not Shashi Tharoors and we are not Shakespeare's that we come out with this bombastic language. Make it conversational, make it simple so that everybody understands and feels connected to us when we are talking. Don't be like a professor where you are giving a lecture. Make it simple and conversational so that you and I can have that great eye-to-eye contact. We can actually have a conversation between us, even though I'm the only one speaking. So make it sound sincere and conversational. Next, please. Always remember to have a dialogue where you can, because it breaks the monotony of being lecture-like. You are giving a lecture, you're speaking and speaking about your subject, but suddenly that is broken by a little conversation between two people, a little dialogue that adds variety and that also adds interest, because you are now adding another character to your story. So a dialogue, but do not, and this is a recommendation from my side, do not have dialogues throughout your speech, because then there is monotony in the dialogue. Make every paragraph or every story different. Make one conversational where you bring in some statistics. Make another one with the dialogue so that there is a slight bit of conversation. Make the third one something else. Have a little variety in the way you present so that it does not seem boring and monotonous. Next, use simple language. I know we always say that your language for a contest speech should be special. Yes, do not use the word nice, 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 good, good, good throughout your speech where you've used that word 6 and 7 times and make it boring. Substitute that word nice or good, make it interesting, make it whatever you want. Find good words to substitute certain simple words, yet keep it simple and understandable. Use short words. There's no need to go to words which are lengthy and cannot be understood, and use short sentences. Sometimes people have such a long sentence, it goes almost into 3 lines of a page because they put commas, commas, commas while writing that by the time you reach the end of the sentence, you've forgotten what was said in the beginning because that sentence was so long. Short sentences are extremely effective. They add value, people can understand and grasp it so that your presentation becomes even more effective. Next, please. And finally, do not forget, once you have written your speech, see if you can make it funny and if you can use humor. If you, like I said in the beginning, when you're having an introduction, if you can bring humor into your introduction, that's wonderful. If you've not brought in humor in the beginning because your speech is a bit serious and your story is serious, try and bring a little bit of it in the body. Today I gave a speech in the morning at my home club, and the title of my speech was 5 Heads Better Than One. And what I meant by 5 heads better than one, it meant that me as a leader or as an organizer, rather than doing everything on my own, it was better to have a little team and have 5 heads putting their ideas. But then how was I going to bring humor into something which was so serious and monotonous and talking about leadership and things? And then I thought, you know, in my 7-month leadership journey as district director, I really have had some stressful moments. I've been losing a lot of hair. And I said that maybe having a team of 5 people or 6 people, hopefully they too were losing some hair from their heads, and I was not the only one losing it, and I could preserve some of the hair on my head. So it was meant that not only did I have a team of 5 heads better than one to put the idea, but maybe they could lose some of the hair instead of me losing it all. So if you can bring in some humor, now I'm not very good at humor, okay, so this might have backfired on me, but the point I'm trying to make is that if you can introduce humor in your speech, nothing like it. It gives people a moment to relax and also enjoy your speech better. So this is the main body, but please do not forget that your main idea, the main message must remain the main message. Do not deviate from it so that people are confused and don't understand where you are going to and where you want to end. Okay, so keep the main message always. If you are talking about compassion, make your story line compassionate. Talk about the different people. I brought in many stories in my speech on compassion. I spoke about a Japanese diplomat in Lithuania who helped. Imagine a Japanese person. We were on opposite sides during World War II, but imagine a Japanese diplomat who helped Jews escape because he provided visas for tens of thousands of people. So talk about stories that really send home the message about what you want to say, and keep reviving and rewriting those messages so that that main message remains clear and important. This is the body of your speech, and it should take close to 6 minutes of your entire speech time. Finally, we come to the conclusion. How are you going to end? How are you going to end your speech? Yes, I'm seeing nice, good remarks by Ramesh. Yes, you also have great background on World War II and stories, and maybe we can have a conversation and you can add stories to it. Conclusion, we want to reinstate and reinforce that message so people say, yes, it was a wow message. It is something I'm going to take home. It is something that I am going to remember. It is something I am going to implement in my life. When I spoke about courage, and I told you the story of my son in Algeria, I wanted to highlight what courage he showed in a foreign land, in adversity. Here was an earthquake that had buried 3,000 people. He was an expatriate living in a country where the language was French and Arabic, and he spoke neither. But it did not need language for him to go out and help the people. And he went out and actually helped dig graves. And he had to bury one of his colleagues working in the company who had died that night. He showed tremendous courage for a young man. So when you have told your stories and you want to end that story and that message with an even more powerful reinforcement and reinstatement, ask people to think about the little things that they can show courage in. It doesn't have to be an activity where you actually go out and do something fantastic. It can be where you stand for your own thoughts and beliefs. That itself is courage. How often are we told, do this, do that, and it is totally against what we believe in as people. Can you stand up for that? Can you show courage to say, no, I will not do this. It's against my values. It's against my principles. So whatever it is, I'm just giving you a random example, but reinstate and reinforce. Appeal to people's emotions. Remember, we are all basically cut from the same cloth. We all have the same values and emotions. If somebody has hurt somebody else, we all feel it. No matter who that person is or what it is. It needn't be a person in our own circle of friends or realm of life, yet we feel it. Why? Because we are moved by those same emotions. And that is the emotion that you have to reach out to when you are concluding your speech. Do I feel it? Yes, I strongly feel it. Am I moved? Do I get goosebumps when I hear your conclusion? Yes. And that is what you want to leave people with when you are concluding your speech. Next, please. Again, a lot of people end with relevant quotes, nothing wrong with it, but don't make it boring. that you just want to put in a quote for the sake of putting it. If it has absolutely fantastic appeal, and if it kind of encapsulates your entire message, certainly use the quotation. So when I will go back to my compassionate speech where I've said you really need to do things to show compassion. You can do it on an everyday basis. You can help somebody cross the road, somebody who's blind, you can help them cross the road. And in my closing, in my conclusion, I said that, each one of us is going through life only once. When today ends, today is gone. Tomorrow will be a brand new day. So whatever you want to do, whatever compassion you want to show, do it now, show it now. Because tomorrow when we walk the next 10 steps and move on, that time will have gone. So the quotation that I used was exactly appropriate to my speech and I used it. So find a relevant quotation, but don't use one just for the sake of using it. Next, please. Call for action. If there is something that you have asked people to do and you want them to do it, say that, state that again in your conclusion. Let not people forget what you have said in your main body. Ask them to do that again. I once gave a speech on tea. Now you might say, how boring. But I told the story of tea. I told the story of how monkeys had been used to pick tea leaves from the tea branches, which were really so tall. In the olden days in Assam, tea trees were very, very tall. They weren't pruned just to the 1 meter height, which you see today in tea gardens. So I had a whole lot of interesting stories. And then I spoke about all the advantages of tea, how it keeps you healthy, how it helps against diabetes and heart conditions. And my last thing was a call to action for those of you who are coffee drinkers. Why not try tea? My call to action was simple. Just go and try tea because it has so many, many benefits. And of course, I am a tea lover. I am not a big coffee drinker. So whatever it is, if it is a simple message, have a call to action if that is what your story is about. Next, please. And finally, cement the connection with the audience. That person sitting across from you, today you are here in this audience. My connection is with each and every one of you. I want you to understand what I have said. Break down those walls, break those barriers. And if I have not connected and I have not appealed to each one of you, then everything that I have said for the last 30 minutes is absolutely useless. You have only 5 to 7 minutes to make that deep connection in your speech. So find out a way in which you can make that connection. Next, please. So now we have finished our thought, we have chosen our subject, we have written our opening, our body, and a conclusion. But are we satisfied? Do we want to give finishing touches? Now, this is very important in giving finishing touches. And what do I mean when I say give finishing touches to your speech? Next, please. Write for the ear. Often we think we are such fantastic writers. I take a pen and I write stories and I think, wow, what a great story this is. It might be good to read on paper. If I send it to you and you read it, you may say, hey, this is a good story, really well written. But when I say it, is it sounding good for the ear? Am I able to understand it? Because if I'm reading it, I can go back to it over and over again and read it till I understand it. But when I'm listening to it, I'm only going to listen to it that one time. And when the moment goes, the moment is gone, and I'm not going to be able to understand it. So write for the ear. When you write your story and you read it out, record it. Speak in front of the mirror. See what you look like. Is it sounding good? Is it sounding attractive? Right for the ear. Next, please. Rewrite, edit, rewrite. This is my favorite part. Remove a sentence which makes no sense, which does not add any value. Rewrite it, edit it. Can I substitute this word for another word? Today I had written a speech and I had put 3 phrases, and then I found that the third phrase really fit better as a second phrase rather than the third. And now when I read my speech and I delivered it, the flow was much better. So now you have come to a stage and point where you are really going to nitpick and be very, very cautious about how you are writing. So every word is going to make a difference and impactful. Rewrite, edit, rewrite, rewrite, edit. So the flow is good. You take out all the jargon and all the excessive words and you really make it tight. There was one international speaker, I'm trying to remember his name, he's a good friend of mine from 2012. When I met him and I spoke to him, he said that he had written, rewritten, and rewritten his speech 100 times. And it was not an exaggeration. He had actually written, changed a word or two, and had a different version of it over and over again. And he had delivered it, not only written and rewritten, but he had delivered it over and over again. Let me tell you one thing over here. We as competitors, contestants, we are always afraid to deliver our speeches in front of somebody else. Oh, that competition is listening to me. What if they get that idea? What if they steal that idea and my words, which I have? Don't be afraid. Nobody can deliver your speech the way you do. And this person, again, I'm trying to remember his name, he delivered his speech in multiple clubs across areas, across divisions. As he went from club to area to division, he went to more and more clubs because he was not afraid. He was confident of himself. He knew that the more feedback and evaluation I get, the better I will be. And believe you me, he did reach the World Championship and won it in 2012. I can see his face. I have lost his name. Next, please. Check the length. Very important. We don't want to have taken so much trouble, months of writing, rewriting, editing, and then shoot our time. Remember, you have 5 to 7 minutes. You do not have to go to the 7 minute and 29 seconds. You can stop at 6 minutes and 29 seconds. The judges will not know. The judges are not interested in the length of your speech, but you need to be careful and stay within the 5 to 7 minutes. So please do not overshoot that 7 minute mark just because you have that 30-second grace. Check the length when you are practicing. Next, please. And find a suitable title finally. Sometimes we begin our speeches with a title. And once we start our speech with a title, we get so wrapped up and caught up, we just cannot break those shackles. Because every time we're thinking of an idea, we're going back to that title. Does it fit into that title? Does it relate to what we have chosen as our title? So free yourself of titles and bondage and just write on the subject that you want to speak up. And when you have written your entire speech and it's finally finished, you will find the 3 words, 4 words, the 5 words that you want to make as the title of your speech and which encapsulates everything that you want to say in your speech. So this presentation, this workshop, I have given it in various forms over many, many years. And today when I wanted to deliver it to you and give it to you, I changed the title. And after I did the entire presentation and changed a lot of it, I said, what message do I want? I want you to speak to win, not just for the contest, but for always. So I changed the subject title, the workshop title, the presentation title to Speak to Win. Because every time you speak, I want you to think, yes, I gave a good message. I have won. Yesterday, I went to speak at a new club which has opened in Mumbai. It was only their second meeting. And their club name has 3 C's in it: celebrate, coordinate, something. And I spoke about 3 more C's, which I kind of added to their club's name. And I spoke about a commitment, about making a choice, about making a commitment, and about continuing and having that consistency. So I chose 3 more C's when I spoke to them. So your title is not important till you decide what it is that you want to speak of. And then the right title will always come to you. So make sure that you finish your speech with all of these things. Next, please. Now, I call my work, when I write, I take pride in saying, is my work a piece of art? Is somebody really going to be interested in listening to me? Is somebody going to remember what I have said? So after you have spent so much time and effort in writing, rewriting, you ask yourself, is this your best work? Can I make it better? If your answer is yes, then go back to the drawing board and write and rewrite. But if you feel, yes, this really is something that I'm super satisfied with, then well done. You have created a piece of art. And in your writing, and then we are going to talk a little bit about the delivery. Next, please. Would you be happy delivering the speech? Your answer should be a resounding yes. I am happy the way I have written it. It is good for the ear. It has short sentences. It's got everything that I want to say and be heard of. Yes, and I am going to be super excited to be delivering this speech. And the third question you ask to find out if your work is a piece of art, next please, is would the audience be entertained? After all, you are satisfied, but it's not all about you, right? It is not about you being gloating over what you have written and this is my best work. It is my audience going to be entertained? Is there a message for them to take home? Are they going to say, wow, I really spent the best 7 minutes listening to Ravi Perry's speech today. Ravi, are you there? I don't know if you're there, I can't see, but yes, that is the magic that you are going to create in the audience. Is my audience entertained? And if you have entertained your audience, the final result really doesn't matter. It might be disappointing if you don't win, but believe you me, if people come and say, you really gave a powerful story, a fabulous message, that is enough. Next, please. And finally, the presentation. We are ready with our speech. We are ready. We know it's going to be great for the audience. How do we present? Please, please, please remember these points. Please spend a little time working on it because it is going to make a world of difference in this online platform that we have. Your audio and video. Make sure that you have no disturbances around. You have the best audio and video setup. Make sure you have a strong internet connection. Ask your family members to shut down everything they are going to do if you don't have strong connectivity so that you have your best 7 minutes. Have that camera in line with your vision. Still today, again and again and again, I go to meetings, I go to contests, and I still see people standing way high there and looking down because the camera is not in line. Stack it up, stack up your computer, your laptop on a pile of books. Put a stool, put a bucket, do whatever you have to raise that camera so that when you are standing and delivering, it is in line with your eye. Next, please. Lighting, make sure that the light is from the front of you onto your face and not from behind. Today, unfortunately, you can see I have got light coming from my left side from a window, and that is because I've had COVID for the past 15 days. I'm closed and locked up in my room and can't go to a better spot in my house, so that I'm in this situation where I don't have the best light. But make sure you practice and see that the best light is on your face and not from behind or from the side, so that you don't have glare. Next, please. Your background. Try not to use backgrounds with distract, and people are looking and seeing, oh, what book is on that bookshelf, or what is the color? So make sure that your background is as plain as possible. If it is possible for you to stand against a blank wall, a white wall in your house, do that, because that is the best place to be. We don't want to see doors and windows and bookshelves and furniture and pretty candles and things. They are all distracting elements. So try and get it as plain as possible, your background. Next, please. Next, please. Your dress. Your dress is very important. And I would like to say to you that it sounds silly sometimes, but wear the dress that you are going to wear for your contest. If you are standing against a white wall, please do not wear pastel shades, light blues and light pinks. Wear a nice bright red or something that will have a contrast against your background. How you dress should also be practiced before your contest date, okay? Because that is going to make, thanks for the green card signal, thank you. That is going to make an impact. You have already tried and tested. It's like a dress rehearsal when you are going for a concert in your school days. You used to have these dress rehearsals for precisely that reason, so that you know that everything is good. In dress, I would like to point out, wear something that is comfortable. Don't wear things which are tight. On stage, I have seen with my own eyes people, especially girls who wore short dresses or short skirts and were constantly pulling those skirts down because they were so uncomfortable. Dupattas falling around. Don't have any distractions of dress, which is going to make your life more difficult in presenting. The guys somehow always turn out pretty smart because they are in jacket and tie and are well presented. Girls, remember, have your hair in place. Do not fidget. The last time I was at a contest, there was a lady contestant who I think must have touched her hair at least 25 times during the course of that 5 to 7 minute speech. Don't do that. Don't have distracting thing. So make sure your dress, your hair, everything is in place. Next, please. Movement, use your stage well. Today I am sitting down because I'm really not feeling so well, but I would have demonstrated how to use that stage. Use your stage and use every part of your screen so that you get the maximum in your body language, because there are a lot of marks for delivery, presentation, and movement. Next, please. Eye contact. If I don't talk to you and you don't feel that I have connected with you because I have that eye contact, you are losing me. You are not going to feel that I am credible, that I am genuine as a speaker, that I feel my message. So have that eye contact. Today, on the online platform, you see a superb technique for using eye contact. And many of our past international speakers and winners, and even at club level, have mastered that technique of eye contact. They really come close into the camera and pull away. But make sure you just don't do it for effect, but it makes complete sense. Next, please. And your voice. Your voice is important. If you feel that you are lacking in that, then practice it. Go low. Raise the pitch of your voice where it is exciting and you really need to raise that volume. Pause. Let everybody feel how often we have heard people go on and on and on without a pause. I can't feel what you have said. Pause. Let that message come home clear. So use your voice, practice your voice. If that is your strength, it will come naturally. If it is not your strength, put in more effort in that voice. Speak, record, hear it back. Next, please. Final tips. Yes, this is the final part. We've written our speech, we know how to deliver, and final. I speak at the rate, along with my pauses and transitions, I have figured that I speak at the rate of 110 words per minute. So if I wanted to speak for 7 minutes, I would make sure that my speech did not take more than 750 words. So figure out how fast or slow you speak with your pauses, with time for audience appreciation. Fit it all in and do not extend over 7 minutes. Find out your speaking rate. Next, please. Props. I know there are people who like to use a lot of props. I somehow have not used props in any of my speeches when I have delivered. Too many props distract from your main speech and message. If you need one prop, use it effectively. If it's going to be a letter that is going to be your prop and you're going to take it out of your pocket, do it smartly and it will have meaning. Everybody will remember that letter. If you have that cigarette in your mouth, that one prop was something that is extremely memorable. Whatever prop you have, try to minimize it to just one for the most impact. Next, please. Freeze your speech a week before. Please do not write your speeches right till the night before you are due to speak, because you are going to lose it. You're not going to have that same impact. You're not going to be able to control your voice. You might forget a word, and one word that you forget might have not a nice feeling or an impact on the rest of your speech. You're going to stumble and stutter because you forgot that one word. Freeze your speech well before you are due to deliver it. Next, please. Study the contest rule books. Know what are the do's, excuse me, know what are the do's and don'ts of speaking. That contest rule book is really important. And finally, next, please. The judge's ballot. Study the judging criteria. You need to know, what is that judge looking for in my speech? So study that judge's ballot, that judging criteria very, very closely. And that's going to be my next slide, where I will spend 5 minutes on the judging criteria. And then, of course, good luck to everyone. I hope at the end of it, those people who have not decided to take part in the contest will be motivated to go for it and participate in the International Speech Contest and Table Topic Speech Contest. Practice, practice, practice. That is the only thing to do. I have practiced my speeches when I took part many, 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 many times. I have gone to bed practicing. I've got up in the morning practicing my speech. And yet I have forgotten. I have frozen. But that I could not help. But practice is the only way to really do yourself proud. Forget the audience, forget your club members, forget the judges. But just for you to feel good, you really need to practice. Next, please. We'll just go to the judges' ballot and then I'll be done. Okay, so we have the judges' ballot, the international speech ballot, and if we can take it up a little closer, maybe, you will see that the content is 50%. So what we spoke about, writing, your thought, your message, the idea, the selection of topic, writing, rewriting, that is going to be 50%. So do not underestimate and say, oh, I'm such a great person to speak and deliver that I don't need to really worry about the content. Content is king. So 50%, it needs to be original. It needs to be something different. Or even if it is the same old topic, which has been written about many times and spoken about, give it a different twist, make it yours. Put your stories in that speech, because your stories can't be anybody else's story. So content is how you develop it. We've been through it, how to move from opening body, conclusion, have the best transitions. How effective is our choice of words in the way we deliver, and value. Does it bring value to my life? Am I going to stop and think what you said? Does it connect to my way of thinking? That speech value is very important. So don't lose out on any marks when you are framing your speech and building content. The next 30 points is for delivery. And like I said, be comfortable, be dressed well, be smart and present. Use your stage. Don't go off the stage. Have that speak with confidence, your voice, your eye contact, all of those things which make delivery memorable. Why are some people remembered more than others? It's because of their delivery. People are fantastic the way they deliver. Their voice, the way they sound, the way they pause, they make you feel like you are one of them, truly connected. That is the strength of delivery. And then the last 20 is on language. Is it appropriate? Was it unnecessary? So many of the words you use, was that language? If you have a small problem in the grammatical part, get help from somebody. Ask somebody to help you and keep practicing it till you get it correct. If there are 3 or 4 words which you continuously mispronounce, learn it. When I used to have mentees, lots of them, and I used to actually take my phone and record the pronunciation so that they could go home and listen to it again and again and again. So get help from your mentors, your guides, as to a little help in language, whether it be grammar, in pronunciation. There are not too many marks, but you don't want to lose a single mark. So make that your mission of practicing. Because like I said, you might have had a great speech, you can deliver it, but you don't want to lose anything on the language count. So this is the judges' ballot. I would recommend everybody taking part in the contest to look at the judges' ballot, read that contest rule book, study all the criteria, and then when you have written your speech, tick and see, does it fit all of the criteria of the judges' ballot? Next, please. And I come to my final slide, which is my concluding slide, which it says, no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. If your own speech does not move you, how can you expect it to move your audience? No surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. If it is just a run-of-the-mill speech and it has not created any elements of surprise and that wow factor, how do you expect to do that to your audience and listener? So remember, your speech needs to move, it needs to connect, it needs to bring tears, it needs to bring joy, it needs to bring an element of surprise. And I wish each and every one of you the very, very best in this coming contest season, and also in any speech that you deliver, whether it be in the club, your office, and your home. Thank you, and back to you. I will take questions now.
Thank you so much, DTM Mukta. We are glad that you took your time besides your health condition and gave such an insightful session. This will surely help our members in the upcoming session. We will now proceed with the Q&A. I request the audience to post all your questions in the chat box so that we can take them. And before that, even I have one question, DTM Mukta.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Just, we've got, I think, about 10 minutes for questions and answers. So let's have them quick so we can answer as many as we can. Yeah, probably.
So you said if we don't have any impactful personal stories, then we can go through some newspapers and then we can present it. But will that add the credibility to the story?
Depends on how you deliver it, right? So, first of all, I would like you to dig deep into your own life, and you will definitely find many, many stories which you might have dismissed, but which will definitely have an impact on your audience. But if you are not so confident that that story is not going to, yes, go ahead and find a story that will create an impact. But remember that rule of 75% originality, okay? Don't get disqualified for picking on an extract which is not original.
Okay, that answered my question. And we have another question from the audience. How do we create a storyline or theme for an ISC? How to get started?
Oh my goodness, after 15 minutes, you're asking me. After 15 minutes of presentation, you're asking me how to create storyline. Think of something which matters to you, which is close to your heart. For me, the way I lived my life, seeing courageous people around, brave people who were giving, kind, they really inspired me. So whether I spoke on somebody's compassion or on courage or someone, find something that really means something to you and start from there. That is going to be your subject. If you are still unsure, pick on 3 or 4 different things, develop them loosely, and then find out what is the one that really means the more, what is the one that appeals to you more, and you will find the true story and the true message of what you want to deliver.
Yeah, Toastmaster Rohan, hope your question is answered. And then we have how to establish ethos in something like research and presentation speeches.
You can always, sometimes creating ethos in presentation, which is mainly a research project or technical, is really difficult to do. So you need to find a lot more creativity to do that. I gave a speech, like I said, on tea, which brought about the history of tea, and which had several instances about the monkeys or about people working in the gardens, in the tea plantations. But if you have a little story of a planter, a tea planter or a tea picker, which really made a lot of difference to see the hardships that they go through, that they carry these baskets on their back for so many hours, and they get paid peanuts, because all of the money is made by the tea auctioneer or by the tea companies that make the tea. The pickers hardly get. So if you can bring that little ethos, that little story, that little emotion in that speech in which you are just giving as a research project, it is possible to do that. But you need to stop and think how you can do it, okay? So every time you do a story or presentation, just bring in a small side story where one can feel warm and comfortable and fuzzy in that story. Yeah.
Thank you. Probably I'll try the same thing in my upcoming ISC contest. And then we have a question from Toastmaster Lasya. Sometimes when I deliver a speech, I break into tears. Is it okay if that happens on stage?
Yes, yes, I know, because some of us are more sentimental and emotional than other speeches. And when we talk about it, we get choked and we get moved ourselves and we have tears. Now, there are two aspects to it. There is nothing wrong in choking or showing emotion. We've seen great presidents like Barack Obama, or we've seen Oprah Winfrey, or fantastic speakers who've spoken all their lives really get caught emotionally. But when you are doing it for a contest, it would be a good idea to practice it so many times that you have that emotion and yet you can control it, okay? Because some of the judges are saying, why did you talk about it if it is going to stop you from continuing your speech? So have a balance between having the emotion as well as being able to control it.
And then the next question, is topic really a concern? What kind of topics we need to choose exactly? So choosing this kind of topic would create an interest, something like that. Topic selection matters a lot.
Yes, topic selection is really important because that is going to determine what content you are going to write. It is going to determine how you deliver it, because it really needs to matter to you. If that topic is something which somebody else has given you and you have no relevance to it, or you are not even engaged in it, how are you going to talk and deliver about it? So topic is absolutely important, because what you speak on has to matter to you, because what matters to you is what you are going to be able to deliver best. Yes, so choose something really meaningful. It could be a simple topic. I'm not saying you have to go into something really high funda like and have everything teary-eyed and things like that. It could be, like I said, learning to ride a bicycle. It could be a fun-filled, humorous thing. But what was the lesson in that? What was the lesson I had in that? Gosh, I grazed my arms and my knees and my elbows hundreds of times, but I just got up smiling. So it could be a simple thing. Get up smiling, It could be a simple message in that. It could be heartwarming to the audience. So it doesn't have to be a deep, dark subject. It could be a light subject, but it's the way you think, write, and deliver which will make an impact.
Okay, got it. And then we have a question from our guest. Can we introduce some relevant poetry lines to add a perspective to the story speech? If yes, how it will impact as compared to story?
Can we have it was a little long, the question. Can you just read it? Yeah.
Can we introduce a poetry line to add a perspective to the speech? If yes, how it will impact as compared to story?
Fantastic question. Yes, I had mentioned story, quotation, question, startling fact, joke. Poetry is fabulous to add, because sometimes they are so meaningful, and always they are so meaningful and so deep. But make sure that the lines that you use are understandable to people the first time. The problem with poetry is that many a times the audience does not understand, and then you as a speaker have to again explain the whole thing. You already said 2 lines of the poem, and then you're spending another 10 lines trying to explain what you just said. So if the lines are simple and understandable, then fantastic. If they are complex and not understandable, then maybe you should think of something different. That's my take on it.
Thank you, DTM Mukta, for answering all the questions. With the interest of time, we will be taking the remaining questions offline. Members, you can reach out to our PQ team for the questions. And then now let's move into the next segment, Minute Taker. After listening to such a wonderful, long and insightful session, it would be amazing if someone could summarize the entire session, right? And give us only the key points, right? To do that, I would request Toastmaster Ramesh to take the meeting forward.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, and thank you, Mukta Nadkar, for wonderful tips on how to prepare and deliver a beautiful speech. So let me cover a few important points from her splendid speech. Before you begin any speech, it is important that you should be knowing the audience. So what kind of audience, age, and interest and their knowledge they have, and you need to come up with the speech which is relevant to that. And you also need to focus on the purpose of the meeting. What do you want to do by delivering specific speech? I mean, do you want to motivate the audience or do you want to inspire them? So you need to be clear on the content which you are preparing, and choose a topic that is engaging to the audience. So probably instead of picking a random topics from the internet or copying from so and so specific journals, so it is better that you have to come up with a story which is on your own experiences, which you have come across with the growing lifestyle you have. So just come up with the story from your own way and do not copy it from some others or somebody else. So, and the introduction part probably you should be covering in 30 to 40 seconds. And coming to the body part, once you prepare the story by your own way, then you need to present it in a nice fashion by grabbing the attention of the audience. So just think that the presentation should be impacting the audience in a memorable way. So prepare a statistics along with the story content. Let's say if you are preparing a speech on a COVID safety measures, so then come up with the statistics for that COVID impact, like how many people got impacted if the safety measures are not followed, so that the audience will be so engaging with the way you are presenting with the statistics. And the central idea should be emphasized in the body. So the theme, whatever the theme you are preparing in your content, that has to be in an effective way, and it should not be deviating with the sentences which you are presenting. So stick to the content in the specific story which you are presenting, and illustrate the message, especially in 3 to 4 points. And the whole conversation should be more meaningful, and add a dialogue as and when it is required. And don't make the speech too complex, and use the simple words and use simple sentences such that it will be more engaging. And if possible, try to add humor to your speech. So if you can bring humor to your speech, then it will be wonderful. And the whole body you should be covering in 3 to 5 minutes. And coming to the conclusion part, while concluding, reinforce the message for the wow factor, so that people's emotions will be touched upon during conclusion. So if it is possible, use relevant quotations that is appropriate for your main message, and do not use any quotes for the sake of usage. And then cement the connection with the audience from your story. So the expectation is that you have to build a connection with the audience from your story. As a part of finishing, you need to prepare well in advance, and you have to prepare and practice. So you have to write, rewrite, and rewrite. So many successful people, they are spending a lot of time in preparing the same content again and again, such that the sentence will be much better, and the final write-up will be much better, so that the final delivery will be awesome. So the length of the time should be 5 to 7 minutes. You need to complete the delivery in the stipulated time, so that will come if you really practice well in advance, and if you have to record your speech in advance, and then you have to verify whether you are really finishing within the timeline or not, and that has to be more important for your preparation. And find a suitable title, and that gives the theme of the story. And the final tips are like use do not use the props more in the speech, and use as and when it is required. And also you have to prepare in advance, like a week in advance. Do not come with a topic just a day before. And the judging criteria, like they'll be judging based on the sentence formation and the usage of the words, also the grammatical mistakes. So judges will have the criteria for each and every aspect of the speech. So you need to be aware and work with your mentor, prepare well in advance, and practice, practice, practice. So that way you'll be able to deliver a nice speech. Yeah. Back to you, Toastmaster Pravalika. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ramesh, for providing us all the highlights of the session. And also I would thank you, DTM Mukta Nadkar, for taking your time despite of your health condition and providing us such an insightful session. And with this, I'm signing off as a moderator today. And I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. And now I will hand over the stage to Toastmaster, our Division Director, Toastmaster Shivani, to address the audience.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, nice. Thank you, Toastmaster Pravalika, for giving me the control. Well, I would say yesterday I traveled to Delhi. And you know what? I did not even see one season over here. I can see 2 seasons. Delhi winter is always gives me, chills. But thankfully, my mom is all set and prepared for me not to get or caught up with the cold. Well, in Toastmaster, we know our contest season is here. But you know what? Our program quality team is all set and prepared to make us and not to have the chills of participating in international speech contest. And with that, I really would like to thank all of you for attending in Saturday beautiful morning, for giving your time and having and attending this beautiful session by our beloved distinguished Toastmaster Mukta ma'am for having for gracing us with her presence over here. We know she was suffering from COVID, but still she managed to attend our session. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Mukta ma'am, for giving very insightful, knowledge. Well, I can say I'm not able to participate in international speech contest, but definitely I'm going to write my international speech, for next year. I'm going to participate in ISE next year, definitely, because as a district officer, my hands are tied. And I hope you all are going to write, even though you don't want to compete or participate, but please, it's a request from my side. Please participate. Please write it, a beautiful ISE speech. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach. Well, with that, I would like to thank all the participants and all the role players. Can we have the slides? Wow. So it's an honor and privilege to give the certificate to our trainer of today's session. So with that, I really would like to thank distinguished Toastmaster Mukta ma'am for attending this session and giving very insightful knowledge about how to write a speech. Speak to win. Really, it has inspired me a lot. Thank you, ma'am. Wow. Our next certificate of appreciation goes to Zoom Master for today's session. He has made sure that everybody who is speaking is spotlighted, and we are getting the host controls as well. So thank you, Toastmaster Shrikant, for helping us as a Zoom Master. Yes, can we have next slide? Thank you so much, Toastmaster Kashika. We know you were having some challenges initially for your audio, but you didn't fumble and you didn't lose your confidence. You started the session, with a bang. Thank you so much. And here is your certificate of appreciation to you. Thank you. Can we have next slide? Wow. Well, I must say, whenever I'll think of taking up the host or MC for any session, it always gives me a chill, because I I'm scared to speak, for a long time. Well, Toastmaster Pravalika didn't had this fear, and she was ready to help us for the MC. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Pravalika, for making sure that even if we will have some glitch, you are there to make sure everything goes smooth, and also taking up all the queries of the participants. Thank you so much for your role today. Here is your certificate of appreciation. Wow. We have next certificate for the timer of today's session. Toastmaster Raidu was helping us in minute-to-minute noting of all the timing, and he was able to help us closing the meeting on time, little bit here and there. We took little bit of time, but thank you so much, Toastmaster Raidu, for helping us as a timer for today's session. Can we have next certificate? Well, I can say hats off to you, Toastmaster Ramesh, because as a listener, I will not be able to, add or write all those points, minute-to-minute points, which you have presented or shared over here. Kudos to you, effort. And thank you for taking up this role as a minute taker for our International Speech Contest Education session. So here is your certificate. Wow. So this ends my my time, and I know we are running out of the time, so I won't be taking much of your time. Thank you so much, audience, for for attending this session. And as Toastmaster Ravi has shared, we are going to have another session tomorrow. We would love you to attend tomorrow's session as well. And our program quality team is going to share the update for our next session. It's going to be our education session on table topics. And with that, I would like to give control back to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Sirisha. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be Manish. Manish.
Oh, sorry. Toastmaster Manish.
Yep. Am I audible and visible? Small check. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. A wise man once said, Toastmasters is like a gym. And in a gym, if you are consistent, you build muscles. And in Toastmasters, if you are consistent, you build your brain muscles. And that is very important for people like us in today's generation. So kudos to all the members who have come to today's session and are actually ready to grow even more and ready to make their brain muscles grow even more. Kudos for that. I hope all of you really loved today's session and actually took out a lot amount of valuable information for the upcoming contest season. I would like to thank our trainer, DTM Mukta, for helping us out today and giving such a wonderful session to all of the participants. I would even like to give my thanks to all the role players who have done it really good. The timer, the Zoom master, the silent at arms, and the MC. Thank you so much for making this event, this session, a successful session. And for the members who have texted in the chat box about the next session, I would like to tell you the next session is tomorrow, that is on 6th of February at the same time, sorry, not same time, at 11 to 12:30. So 11 to 12:30 tomorrow, 6 p.m. in the morning. And we have a feedback link which has been shared in the chat box. Kindly, I want all to just look into the chat box. We have the feedback link for today's session. So it would be really good if all of you could actually share your feedback about today's session so we can improve for our next session also. With this, I hope I have covered up all the points, and all the best to all of you for your growth journey. With this, I hand over the stage back to Surrender Terms.
You are not audible.
All right, Kashika, I do not want to trouble you yet again. So let me just take that for you. All right, everyone. It was an amazing, exuberant, and an insightful session. This wouldn't have been possible without our distinguished Toastmaster and our very own District Director, Mukta Nadkar. Thank you for taking this session, and it was amazing listen to you. And we look forward for your presence yet again and very frequently in Hyderabad. We would love to hear from you again. Thanks everyone for joining. This is Toastmaster Kashika, Sergeant at Arms, signing off and declaring this educational session a close. I would love if you all can switch on your cameras. We will all take a picture and then we will flaunt and make people jealous who didn't join. We'll tell them how much they have missed. So if possible, can you please switch on your videos? Zoom Master, I hope you're ready. Awesome.
Cheese, we'll say 1, 2, 3. Cheese, okay?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
3. 1 minute, please. Let me check it once. Last time will meet me after the meeting.
Okay, we have 2 screens, so please keep showing your teeth so that we will get a good picture. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. It was an amazing session, and we will now close. Thank you.